Good evening, you're watching the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. We'll start with the headlines. The increased investment in oil and gas sector raises Sultanate's oil production to more than 1 million barrels in July. The Ministry of Higher Education discusses with cultural attachés ways to overcome learning obstacles for scholarship students abroad. And Russian and Iranian foreign ministers say that Syrians must decide their future, and the two countries hold same views towards the crisis. Those are the headlines, and now for the news in details. The Sultanate has succeeded during the last decades in investing in oil and gas sector to increase the production of this sector and its contribution to the development of the society. The Sultanate exceeded the level of 1 million barrels in the production of crude oil and petroleum condensates during last July, which stressed the success of the government's plan to reduce the 2.5 billion Omani Riyals budget deficit for 2015 within the drop of oil prices in the global market. With the expectation that new producers will enter the global oil market, the oil price, according to analysts, will go down. This is being taken into account by the Sultanate's government as non-oil sectors recorded last year 18.7 billion Omani Riyals with a growth value of 9%. In order to instill moral principles on all segments of the society to be applied in their daily life, a campaign on the topic was launched at Salalah Rotana Resort today. The event is being organized by Omani Women's Association in Salalah in cooperation with other women's associations in the wilayas of the Governorate of Dhofar. The launching ceremony was presided over by His Excellency Sayyid Mohammed bin Sultan Al Busaidi, Minister of State and Governor of Dhofar. Various activities will be held that cover all wilayas of the Governorate, and during the launching ceremony, a number of work papers were presented by participating government bodies to educate the society, especially youth, on the dangers of drugs and narcotics. The campaign, which aims to promote positive change, will continue for 6 months. To streamline and develop the procedures to follow up and finalize transactions of students studying outside the Sultanate, cultural attachés met with sending bodies representatives at the Ministry of Higher Education. The meeting was attended by representatives from civil and military sending bodies. They discussed ways to address challenges facing them in serving students. They praised e-services provided by the Ministry of Higher Education in finalizing students' transactions. Russia and Iran said today that Syrians must decide the future of Bashar al-Assad, with Moscow opposing any pre-negotiated exit of the Syrian president as part of a peace deal. Speaking at the joint news conference in Moscow, Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov and his Iranian counterpart Mohammad Javad Zarif reiterated their country's backing for Assad in the conflict, which has killed around 250,000 people since 2011. The future of Assad remains a sticking point in diplomatic efforts by regional and global players to end the Syrian crisis, which has failed to resolve. The United Nations humanitarian chief said he is horrified by the attacks on civilians taking place in Syria, singling out in particular government airstrikes the previous day that killed nearly 100 people in a Damascus suburb. At a press conference in Damascus, Stephen O'Brien said the protracted conflict in Syria not only severely affects the lives of millions of people in the country, but also threatens the stability of the entire region. Syria's conflict has killed more than 250,000 people, according to United Nations. He appealed to all parties in the conflict to protect civilians and respect international humanitarian law, and also expressed concerns for 4.6 million Syrians stuck in hard-to-reach and besieged areas. The Saudi military says 2 soldiers have been killed along the border by a missile fired from inside Yemen. The soldiers were killed in the Saudi border region of Jizan. Meanwhile, heavy fighting between government loyalists and rebels for Yemen's third city, Taiz, has left more than 80 people dead in the past 24 hours. Military sources said today the dead bodies of 50 Houthi rebels and allied troops were retrieved from the city, adding that 31 pro-government fighters were also killed. Military sources said that pro-government forces supported by Gulf air strikes have made key gains against the rebels in Taiz, since seen as a gateway to the rebels-held capital Sana'a. That came as Arab coalition warplanes intensified strikes targeting positions of Houthi rebels in Hudaydah and Ib in central Yemen. Iraq's parliament has approved a report implicating senior officials of the fall of Mosul to the Daesh group last year. The parliamentary panel called for former Prime Minister Noor al-Maliki and dozens of other top officials to stand trial over the fall of the northern city of Mosul to Daesh last year. Meanwhile, Daesh launched an attack against government troops outside the militant-held city of Fallujah, killing at least 17 troops. 4 suicide attackers drove explosives-laden military vehicles into the government's forces' barricades outside Fallujah, west of Baghdad. Clashes broke out afterwards. The officials said 15 other troops were wounded. Israeli forces made an incursion using bulldozers and military equipment east of the city of Rafah, south of the Gaza Strip. The Rafah border crossing opened today for 4 days, allowing Palestinians to travel in both directions. Crossing director Khalid Ashar says some 20,000 people have applied to exit. Gazans seeking medical care and students are among those expected to cross. Rafah is Gaza's only gateway to the outside world with no Israeli control. Indonesian rescuers called off the search for the day today after foggy weather hampered the operation to hunt for the wreckage of a crashed Indonesian aircraft in a remote area. An official of the National Search and Rescue Agency said the wreckage of passenger plane was spotted earlier in the day, but it would need a second group of rescuers to approach the site on foot, adding that the ground troop is likely to arrive later tonight to start the search tomorrow morning. The debris is located in heavily forested Bintang Mountain District, about 14 kilometers from Oksibil Airport. The Trigana Air Service plane crashed halfway from Sentani Airport in Jayapura to the southern city of Oksibil with 49 passengers and 5 crew. The flight was also carrying cash worth around $470,000 for remote villages. All passengers were Indonesians. And still to come in our news bulletin. An exhibition was held in Salalah as part of the Kharif Festival 2015. Welcome back to the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. The military relations between the Sultanate and India topped the discussion of His Excellency Mohammed bin Nasser Rasbi, Secretary General of the Ministry of Defense, with Air Chief Marshal Arup Raha, Chief of Air Staff of India. During the meeting, they also exchanged cordial conversations and a number of matters of common concern, as well as reviewing the good bilateral relations between the two countries. Lieutenant General Ahmed bin Harith al-Nabhani, Chief of Staff of the Sultan's Armed Forces, received Air Chief Marshal Arup Raha, Chief of Air Staff of India, and his accompanying delegation, currently visiting the Sultanate. The meeting exchanged viewpoints and discussed a number of matters of common concern that serve the march of the military cooperation between the two countries. Air Vice Marshal Matar bin Ali Al-Ubaidani, Commander of the Royal Air Force of Oman, received Air Chief Marshal Arup Raha, Chief of Air Staff of India. The meeting exchanged viewpoints and discussed a number of matters of common concern as well as cooperation in various fields. Air Chief Marshal Arup Raha, Chief of Air Staff of India, and his accompanying delegation visited the facilities of Military College of Technology. A visual show was viewed about the college's establishment stages and its services, modern and advanced techniques. The delegation was also briefed about general curriculum, various technical specification study stages at the college. They also toured the college's library, a number of workshops and sections. Among a wide participation from more than 200 military music bands from all over the world in the city of Glasgow in Scotland, the musical band of Royal Air Force of Oman concluded its participation in the International Bagpipes competition. This participation reflected the advanced and excellent performance of the band. It also contributed in the enhancing of the skills and experience of the band members in this field. The participants expressed that the musical band of the Royal Air Force of Oman achieved advanced positions in the competition. The Governorate of Dhofar is brimming with Kharif-related events and programs of interest. An exhibition by the small and medium enterprises was one of the important happenings in the city of Salalah. Here's a report by Abdullah bin Ahmed al-Rubai.
The successful journey of some of the young Omani in starting and managing small and medium enterprises was presented by a number of these young stars at the municipal ground in Salalah. This was presented in a form of exhibition and is one of many activities of Salalah Festival 2015. The exhibition commenced under the patronage of His Excellency Sayyid Mohammed bin Sultan Al Busaidi, Minister of State and Governor of Dhofar. Many initiatives have been launched nationally to encourage young people to take up independent business options. The government plan is to create a suitable foundation to empower the role of small and medium enterprises in the country.
My project, service and maintenance for the beam pumps, for cleaning and change the belts for the beam pumps. And the beam pumps, two jobs. First jobs and beam pumps for the CB work and cleaning and greasing. Second job, the corrective maintenance. Corrective maintenance, change the belt and the motor for the beam pumps.
This exhibition clearly demonstrates the keenness of youth in taking up such positions, as one can see many different projects have been carried out by these individuals and are very encouraged with the support that they receive from the government. Thus, by equally encourage men and women to participate in the process of economic development to the Sultanate, the government programs has been successful across Oman to promote the launch of youth business ventures through provision of loans and expertise to recent graduates.
I'm very pleased to be here, and I'm very pleased to what have seen, from our boys and girls and their projects. The government did whatever it can to provide them with suitable jobs. Well, I think we have seen many good things, and they're good examples. So we can follow their examples. We find that maybe we don't copy. It's better we find some new ideas. And the government is ready to support and help.
What we have seen here is an evidence that youth are doing very well with their project. Abdullah bin Ahmed al-Rubai, Sultanate of Oman Television, Salalah Festival 2015, Governorate of Dhofar.
And now for the general weather forecast. Cloudy skies will prevail over the coastal areas in the nearby mountains of the Governorate of Dhofar with chances of intermittent drizzle. The rest of the Sultanate will have clear skies with chances of cloud accumulation and scattered rainfall over the Hajar Mountains and the nearby areas. Winds will be southwesterly moderate to active along the coast of the Arabian Sea, while it will be southeasterly light to moderate along the rest of the Sultanate. Seas along the coast of the Arabian Sea will be rough with a maximum wave height of 3 meters, and for the rest of the coast it will be slight to moderate with a maximum wave height of 1.5 meters. This is the Sultanate of Oman Television. Before we end tonight's bulletin, here are the main points once again. The increased investment in oil and gas sector raises the Sultanate's oil production to more than 1 million barrels in July. The Ministry of Higher Education discusses with cultural attachés ways to overcome learning obstacles for scholarship students abroad. And Russian and Iranian foreign minister says that Syrians must decide their future, and the two countries hold same views towards the crisis. With that, we come to an end to tonight's news bulletin. From all of us here at the newsroom and the studios, good night.